And Sean, what was your background, you said?
I spent 25 years in the military. I recently retired in 2021, so I've been out just a few years now.
Okay, and so you're a neighbor to the house of the suspect where the suspect was arrested?
Yeah, I'm about 5 houses away, so not too far in a neighborhood this size.
Do you know who the suspect is? Like, have you seen him
No,
before?
I didn't recognize this picture on social media, so I can't say that I did.
Okay.
No.
And so tell me, you were really impressed with the whole police operation. Explain to me what you saw.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and thanks for giving me this opportunity just to talk about law enforcement. So, yeah, my house is about 5 houses away, and just from my perspective from inside the windows, what I saw was I saw all the police respond in the patrol cars and come around the area. And then after that, I saw that they set up drones to do that. And then I saw a mobile command center, and then I saw SWAT come in. And then I saw some other personnel coming out with more lethal rifles or sniper rifles. So what that meant to me is they'd found out where they needed to go, and then they were going to do observation or gather some more intel, which they did with their drone team. So to me, that's so important because the guys that you have on the ground, you want to give them as much information as you can to let them know where they're going. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I started to see the SWAT team move in. So what that told me is they were able to orchestrate all this technology, bring it in, give their people that are on the ground the best information they could before they went into that house. And then what made all this coalesce to me was the mobile command center. When that came in, that told me that, hey, we generally know where this guy's at. We have a pretty high chance of probability that he's here. So now we have to take and be able to synchronize all these units, all these different capabilities coming in together. And that's what we saw happen. So I'm guessing from start to finish, like this was probably, I know it was under an hour. I didn't time it or anything. But to me, it's incredible what these people do on the street. And I'll take the small opportunity to just talk about like the blank check. So law enforcement officers, they write a blank check. They do it every day. So these guys came out of their cars onto the street, and they just did their job without absolutely knowing how this was going to end up. So to me, that's very special, and that's a very special type of person that they do, and they do this every day. And then they go home to their families, right? And they get up and do this again and again and again.
Yeah.
So I just want to take a quick moment to say, really, my heart's out to you all. Thank you all for what you do, and it is appreciated more than you'll ever know.
And with your experience, when you started seeing each new layer build,
Yeah.
did you have like alarm bells going off? Because you know the severity grew and it was in your neighborhood.
Oh, I knew that they knew where the person was at, absolutely. You could tell from what they were bringing in, they were starting to focus everything in one area. So, you know, I was guessing within, I don't know, a couple hundred meters, it was around my house. So I knew that. So, yeah, that was a good indicator, and that they had the right information, and they were continuing to work forward towards their end goal, which was really remove this person and take care of them the way that it needs to be done.
And just to pick your brain a little bit more,
Yeah.
because you're really intelligent. See, tell your wife that. We saw that the suspect and then somebody who appeared to be older than the suspect was also taken into custody. Any idea why they would do that?
This is pure guess. You know, they have all their reasons. I'm guessing that there could have been some type of affiliation with the person that they're unsure of, or maybe the person didn't comply when they asked them to. But that's purely a guess. Mm-hmm. Those people on the ground will let you know exactly why. But an umbrella over top of all that is it had to do with safety. What was the bottom line? Safety could be interpreted as, I told you to do something, you didn't do it. Therefore, there's a safety concern there. But again, I don't want it. Right. They know better, right?
Yeah, I just was asking.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you guys.
No, you're good.
Can you just basically describe the scene as you saw it when they first started coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I saw was all the patrol cars coming in labeled Sheriff Macomb County. So I'm guessing there's probably about a dozen of them. So that's the first thing I saw when they came in, and they kind of corralled around the neighborhood. Next thing I saw was about the same time the drone team come in, and then the mobile command center come in, and then they started to set up and get established. And then after that, that's when I saw some more personnel get out that you might affiliate with, like SWAT personnel. And then I saw the actual armored SWAT vehicle come in.
What grabbed your alert? What like started this whole thing? You're in your house, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was in my house actually drinking some coffee, and my neighbor goes, "Did you look outside?" And I said, "Well, I just fertilized my grass yesterday, so it can't be growing that green quick." He goes, "No, look outside." And I looked out, and I saw it. And then I just started looking out through the windows, observing everything I just described, what's going on, and kind of figured out that they knew where the guy was, and it was probably a couple hundred meters from the house.
A little concerning though at the time.
Yeah, it was a little concerning. You know, I had my wife come downstairs. Our second story is brick, so I was like, get out of the upstairs, come downstairs, stay on this side of the house, and then start texting the neighbors a little bit. But my level of concern was a lot. It was lower, right? Because we had all this capability out here from the sheriff's department, so I was feeling okay, right? I knew that they knew where the guy was, and they had an extreme level of force out here, and you could tell they're very professional and trained.
But the fact that you probably never even thought you'd have to, ever see anything like this in your neighborhood.
Yeah, what do you feel like? This is your home, and
well,
it
is my home, and that brings. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. I was thankful my kids were at school today, and they didn't have to see it. I am going to need to explain this to them. I'd rather do it after the fact, after all this is done, so I can explain it to them kind of on my terms in a way that they process it, instead of them looking out the window, kind of seeing everything. And then I can talk to them about some of the comments I gave you all about the professionalism of our police force and our sheriff's department, and how that they deal with this stuff. And then eventually they're going to ask questions about, well, why did this happen? So then, I got to kind of pull in the fatherly notebook with my wife there, and kind of talk through. Sometimes people unfortunately, they make poor decisions.
So do you know why this person was arrested? Do you what the crime they're alleged of committing prior to this?
This is from social media, so accuracy unknown. But I heard that they got in an argument at the hospital, and that's everything I know. Mm-hmm. So it just went south. Maybe emotions got out of control. But again, that's from social media.
Had you ever seen them in the neighborhood?
Not that I recall. Maybe if I walk by the person, I might recognize them. I mean, we walk out here with the kids, ride our bikes and stuff. So possibly. But from the picture I saw, I don't recall seeing them.
How old are your kids?
One is 8 and one is 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess final question, you said you're so impressed with the response here. Do you feel safer knowing that this is the type of police force that is kind of watching over you? You said you saw all of their resources, you saw them work quickly. I mean, the shooting happened at 7. The arrest is before noon. So just what are your thoughts on your police force? Or the police force that's protecting you and your family?
Top notch. Mm-hmm. Yeah. People around here should feel safe. Right. These guys do a great job. You can tell that they're stewards of the tax dollars. Like, you see what our money is being spent on. We physically saw that today, right? Mm-hmm. So that means we're doing the right things. These people knew how to use it. So it means that they're trained. Mm-hmm. So all that together, yes, I feel safer, and I'm glad that our hard-earned tax money goes to this, right? Because now we'll be able to walk down the street and say, hey, everything's okay, right? Call 911. This is what happens.
Beautiful. Thank you. You can see right down the street of where that suspect was arrested, mm-hmm. along with somebody else arrested as well. Have you ever seen that suspect or the other person before?
I have not, no.
Interesting,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, it is interesting. I just feel like things have changed these days with the neighbors really not knowing each other as well as they used to. So, yeah, we've been here a few years, but no, we've never had any encounter with them.
And you said you guys were kind of watching in the window. When did you notice something was happening to come to the window to start watching?
It was first thing. I don't remember the exact time. Mm-hmm. There was a couple of officers that pulled up, and I had actually dropped my son off at school this morning early because he had something going on early this morning at school. Thankfully, I got him out the door. Otherwise, he would have been stuck here to watch the whole thing unfold as well. But as soon as I pulled back from dropping him off, I noticed there was a few cop cars kind of slowly driving up and down the streets. And obviously the news has been broadcasting about the shooting in Troy. At first I didn't think there would be an affiliation considering how far we are from where that happened.
So tell me, I mean, I know right now you're like, thank goodness I took my son to school, but
Yeah.
at that moment you're kind of watching this all unfold, thinking, you know, what's going on? There's a SWAT vehicle
Yeah.
driving down my street. You're not with your son. That had to
Yeah.
feel scary.
Super scary. Obviously, whenever anything like that is going to happen in your own neighborhood, it's going to, raise some serious concern. My other two children were in the home, and so immediately my reaction was to even step outside once I saw the amount of cops coming up and just say, "Are we safe? Are we okay?" And they said, "Yeah, just stay in the house." We watched several people try to get down the street, and they just kept turning people away. Obviously, that went from a couple cops to a full-out, the SWAT team and the tanks, and you don't see that. That's not something that you're accustomed to from your front door. So it was definitely very. I'm not going to say scary because it really seemed like they had it under control. There wasn't like a huge alarm outside of just stay in your home. That there was enough people out here that we knew that we were protected.
And what are your thoughts of the crime that this person was arrested for and is alleged to be responsible for? The details are there was a shooting at the hospital. The suspect fired 5 times. Victim shot twice, and then fled.
Honestly, I'm just sick of it. Like, I'm just so sick and tired of hearing about the shootings one after another. I have 6 kids that range from 24 to 10. And just knowing that these things just continue to happen, it's just terrifying. It's just when or how is it going to stop? And, it just feels like nothing is safe anymore, I mean, I was talking to my mom, and she's like, I was just scheduled for a mammogram. Like, just knowing that it could happen at any time is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we actually had a call, someone call in from the hospital. She was there this morning getting a mammogram when this happened. It was sheltering in place in a gown. I guess just what are your thoughts? Like you said,
It's terrifying. I mean, it's so scary. I mean, everybody who knows anybody who was at the hospital or could have been close to what had happened or potentially be in a position where something like that could occur. But I feel like nowadays doesn't matter where it's at, the hospital, the schools, the, grocery stores. People just need to know how to stay safe in those circumstances, in those situations, and pray that you're never in a situation that you're close enough to a circumstance like that.
Your children who were home, who were kind of unable or were able to watch this scene kind of unfold.
Yeah.
How were they doing? Were there tears? What was their emotion?
No, I think it was just crazy. I mean, they're on their phone, they're taking videos as kids do. So, talking to their grandparents about what was going on and just reassuring them that they were safe. And, just their kids, they're 19 and 21 years old. And unfortunately, I feel like these kinds of things happen so often that this time it was just really close to home. And they had a front row seat to kind of the action of what goes on when something like this occurs. And I wish they didn't have to. I wish they didn't have to be involved in seeing things like this. And unfortunately, it just seems like this is the world we live in these days.
Can you talk about what you saw as the suspects or they were coming out? Was it peaceful? What did you see?
It was. So I wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, obviously we were kind of awaiting what was going to happen, if there was going to be a shootout or if they were going to have to use tear gas or kind of what the circumstance was going to be to apprehend the suspects. But it looked like things came pretty peacefully. The young man that was taken into custody was first put into a vehicle down the street. And then I saw another suspect come walking straight down the street towards the house and be placed into a vehicle. There didn't seem to be any aggravation or any pushback at all. They seemed like they were compliant. And then the younger suspect was moved from the vehicle down there to a vehicle right here in front of the house. And again, there didn't seem to be any sort of pushback.
So the suspect looked young. You said your oldest kid's 24 years
Yeah.
old. Did they look around the same
Yeah.
age?
Yep. I would say he looked about the same age as my oldest son.
What
Yeah.
was that like?
I feel like it's, it doesn't matter age, religion, race. These things happen all the time, and I think anyone is capable of having these deranged thoughts and following through with them. I think it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't. There's shootings all the time with young kids, right? I mean, we live close enough to Oxford to know that you know, young kids are capable just as much as an adult is, maybe even more so, because they're just, you know, unable to really process whatever their feelings or emotions are in regards to a circumstance or situation, and these things just kind of play out the way that they do. So.